In today's video, we're going to talk about the HECU unit, which is the Electronic Stability Control Unit for the Kia Stinger. Mostly the 3.3 model is supposedly the ones with the problem. The units, some of them have been having overcurrent or shorted states where they'll draw more current than they're supposed to, which then leads to fire hazards and in some cases fire, because it overloads the wires. So today, I am not what I would consider dealer friendly, as I have a few things going on over here under this panel, and most people do in that corner, and have a JV4 or a Lap 3 or some other kind of controller box taking up that area. So today, we're going to look at how I'm going to solve the problem, and before we start, we'll talk about the warranty thing. That's what's going to come up. It's a recall, you got to let the manufacturer do it. You technically don't have to have the manufacturer do it. They usually recommend it because it is free, of course, being that it's their problem and they need to fix it. In this case, I already cleared it with Kia Corporate, and I'm allowed to do the repair as a repair shop. And as long as I get it verified with my local dealership that it has been done and I use the proper parts, we're good to go. Now, getting your hands on the proper parts, being the repair kit, is going to be another thing. As far as I'm aware, you are not allowed to order the kit. They are VIN attached, so in order to order one, you have to attach a VIN to it, which is fine because that also makes a paper trail that you are using the kit for your car to do the recall. You're not trying to skimp out, cause a fire, or, void your warranty. So as long as I do the install and I verify with my dealership, we're good to go. But I don't trust dealerships to touch anything. The last time that we had a recall, we had the ECU pulled out, and that was on my previous Stinger. This is a white one, obviously. I used to have a silver Stinger, and on the silver Stinger, they replaced the ECU, and when they did so, they broke all these tabs. This one's hard to get to. They scratched it all around here and just marred it up. The guy was thrown in the park when the car was moving when he brought it out, and it's just... I don't like other people touching things I pay for. So, that being said, today we're going to look at some ways. Now, the original write-up, TSB, whatever you want to call it, says that you need to remove this bar over here, this bar here, and this whole upper cowl in order to access the fuse panel. And there's a reason why I'm not going over there right now, but the fuse cover will come off, and then there is 3 bolts. 1 second. Just move some things, and you'll see why here soon. There are 3 bolts here. There's one back here, there's one there, there's one over here underneath this cluster of stuff. And then this whole piece will actually come off. It's actually a lid, and it's open underneath. And that allows them access to all these wires. There's some of them here, but there's more wires underneath the backside of the panel. That's going to allow them access to those wires. And what they're going to do is they're going to disconnect 2 wires that go to the HECU unit. The HECU is mounted underneath the fuse panel. You can actually see it right there with the little J17 on it. It is down there, and that controls brake pulse, stability control, if you go out of control, or ABS. That controls all that. It has a motor in it, has solenoids in it, control valves, and everything else. So that's down there. And what it's doing is it's taking the 2 main power wires for that supply that go down to the HECU, and it's changing the fuse current capacity. So the current fusing is this. It's called a multi-fuse. Usually sits right in that slot. This is fuse A, this is fuse B. The short side has fuse A, and the long side has fuse B. This is fuse A, and in here, these 2 right there are 40 amps, and for some reason that's what they picked. They picked 40 amps for the supply, which makes 0 sense because theoretically speaking, you're either fusing for the wire's capacity or you're fusing for the device's draw. They're replacing the 2 40 amp fuses with 2 25 amp fuses, so that if something happens with the unit and it shorts, instead of overheating the wire and causing a fire hazard, it's just going to pop the fuses. So that leads to a couple of things. One, apparently 25 amp fuse is more than enough, so why did they put 40 in it to begin with? And two, the wires, I do believe 12 gauge, so why would you put a 40 amp fuse on a 12 gauge circuit? Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So that being said, being that they put the 40 amp, again, in this multi-fuse, they can't just take them out and replace them. So what they are doing is they are disconnecting the two terminals. You can see the little shiny things. They are pulling the wires out, pulling them out, clipping them, and then the official repair kit can be seen here. You get 2 pieces of heat shrink, and now when I say you, I mean the dealer. 2 pieces of nice thick heat shrink, crimps, 2 replacement stickers, and that's going to be for your battery door, your fuse cover. Because what they're going to do is they're going to cover up these 2 ESC wire spots with the blank ones, and take these 2 25s and put them over here. That way, if somebody looks inside your car from a dealership, they'll know that they did the recall and have the appropriate labeling for fusing sizes and whatnot. And then it comes with 2 fuses, 25s, the brand new ones, and the 2 wires. Now, I'm pretty sure this is 12 gauge. It's not that big. Let's see here. 2.5 millimeter. So, not very big, but I'm pretty sure it's 12 gauge, American standard 12 gauge. Why you'd put 40 amps through that cable, I have no freaking idea. But, back to the business. So, the work order requires this cowl to be removed, this guard to be removed. I removed mine for easier access to this. I hide my meth controller FSB down here. So, this to be removed. Those 3 bolts, pull this up, flip it, remove the 2 wires, which are the exact same colors, this blue with a red stripe, solid red. Remove the 2 wires from their pin locations, move them over, cut, and then crimp on these 2 new wires. Take these 2 push tabs and blade them up right here, so that you can then take your handy new properly sized 25 amp fuses, in my opinion, and put them in that hole. That way, if the HECU is indeed bad in your car, because they don't know which ones are bad and which ones are good, it will pop the fuse, and then you'll be like, ooh, my car doesn't run. Well, I'm sure the car will run, but it probably has really screwed up brakes, if I had to guess. Now, being as, I call it creative, some people call it weird, I decided to see if I could find out another way to do this, and I might have found one. Not super conventional, not super easy, but I think it'll work. I'm most of the way done. I just got the kit today, so I haven't finished out the final part. But basically, this is a fuse. I'll call it a fuse block for this example. It's clipped in, 4 clips, and these are interchangeable between the different trims, GT1, GT2, GT base. That way they can put whatever's appropriate for each different model without having to redo the whole thing. You can actually put your 2 fingers here, pull back, then flip around like this, and pull that side, and take this whole thing out. Now initially, you'll only be able to pull it up about this high, and there's going to be a bunch of plugs in the back that you need to untab. As you can see, they're all removed, and I tucked them down there. But you can get to them. They are all different. Even these 2, they look very similar, but they're not. You can see this one has a 90-degree corner, this one has a 45. So, unplug the plugs, and then pull this out, and I'm going to be doing this live time. To you it looks like it's just a put together video, but I'm actually going to do this live time, so if for some reason I can't get these clipped back together, you'll know soon. But take this out, set that over there. I took these wires and just moved them over so that I had some room. Now again, the work order requires you to remove the 2 tabs, pull them down, and you'll get these 2 wires. As you can see, I've already clipped them. And then these 2 wires, you do need a pin removal tool. You can pull them up. There's quite a bit of room. I know it's kind of hard to get a perspective here, but there's probably 4.5 to 5 inches of wire here. you can pull them up so they'll look like that. You can actually clip them off and then double heat shrink and secure the wires so that they're not bare and tuck them off to the side. Then you have these. So what we'll do is we're going to strip back and then we're going to crimp on our new wires. Now I'm not going to use the supplied bare crimps. I really do not like those. I'm going to use proper barrel crimps, and we'll get back to that in just a second. These are the crimps that they come with. They're really light. They feel like aluminum, which they may very well be. Let's see here. Let me grab a magnet. Yep, they're not magnetic, so they're aluminum, which, call me crazy, but I don't like crimp-styled aluminum tabs. Aluminum's not exactly a very strong metal, and I doubt it's 70-75, so we won't be using these because I really don't like them. Definitely not using that one because I dropped it, but I don't like these, so I opted for some crimp-on terminals. Now, obviously make sure you use the right tool and the right crimp. We're trying to be professional here, so if you don't have confidence in crimping wires, this is probably not for you. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to strip these two wires, and I'm going to get those attached, and we'll move on. Got them crimped, looking good. Throw a zip tie on it. Now we'll throw some heat shrink on it, and there we go. Simple enough. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to attempt to, because again, my goal is to not have to take this whole cover off. I'm going to attempt to fish those little pins, these ones, into there from underneath. Now, it goes without saying, hopefully you see the video or have some adamant knowledge, when you're working in a fuse panel especially, you may want to unhook the battery. Highly recommended. That was quite enjoyable. I got one. Wasn't too bad, really. Certainly not super simple. One tip is to take, there's going to be like 2 or 3 little plugs here. You can see I've got them tucked way off to the side. Tuck those off to the side, that way they're not hitting your hand. So what I did is I took our sweet little thingy here, and I'll take it and bend it like so, so it's kind of like a hook, like that, so that we can go down and under. I'm not going to be able to do it with holding a phone, but go down and under like so, and then come up from underneath. Now once you're in, as you can see, if you hold a light like the camera is, you really can't see any of the wires underneath it. However, if you take a light and go underneath, as you can see, now we can see through it with this light down here, and that makes it much easier to line the pin up. So I'm going to put the other one in and I'll bring you back. So now we'll go over here. We'll grab our fuses, which I'm going to have to open them. Good to go. Now, these fuses are not the same. I originally thought, just from the pictures of looking quick, that they were similar to these ones. They're called mini some shit. But I thought they were those. But these are actually really, really small. You can see here, size comparison wise. They're really small. About half the size. Which is kind of neat, and also glad that they included them, because it'd be a heck of a time trying to find them. But all you do is you go like this, and then push it down. The other one. That down. Oh, look at that. Less fire. So that's it. And then I'm going to work on getting this little bundle of joy back into its home. Alright, so when you go to remove this, this is probably going to scare a lot of people because it's tight and it feels like, uh-oh, am I going to be able to take this home? Here's what I recommend. First of all, reference your fuse layout based on your cover. In this case, I thought that it might go the other way, but obviously I was going to verify first. But this is the actual way. These are all spares. So make sure you have it in the right direction. And then find all of your plugs. So in this case, there is, I think, either 5 or 6 in the back of this doodad. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, there's 6. So when I was first looking, I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't remember there being a blank space. There was indeed 6. It was hiding over here. So find all of your plugs. So this is a base GT. I'm sure everybody has 6. Just spitballing, but couldn't be a bad idea to remember whether or not you do. And then what I'm doing is I'm finding which ones are the longest. I want to do the longest ones first so that I can keep all my space. So this one's long, this is short. This one's really short, and this one's kind of long. So I'm going to do this one, then this one, and this one, then do the shorties. Because obviously you don't want to do the shortest one and then make the rest of them a pain in the ass. So again, I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm down to the last 2 plugs. The last one. I just put this one in. I did originally have that one in there, but I decided to pull it back out just so I could tip this up a bit more. Now over here we have this one last plug. This is definitely going to be your pain. The way of doing it so far that I'm thinking is put one finger on this side and one finger on this side, obviously separate hands, so you can kind of pinch it and pull it towards this hole and then get it plugged in. So I'm going to try that method out and let you know. Alright, so I got it. I just clipped it back in. Reminder of removal. Pull these 2 tabs back. Flip your hand around. Pull these 2 tabs back. Pull this unit up. And then there's not a whole lot of room, but I'm just saying, it is doable if you decide to do so. Put your fuse card back in. Car won't run very well without it. And then you should be good to go. If I had to say so, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say this is about a 3 in terms of the overall principle of it. It's very simple, really. Don't let all the wires scare you. It's very easy. In terms of, let's say, trickiness, in terms of getting the plugs in, if you do it this method, without having to take this cover off, it's very tricky. Small hands probably help you out. My hands are not very small. I know it's hard to get an understanding of that, but not very easy. Fingers hurt a little bit, because it is a bit of a tight squeeze, but shit happens. I didn't have to take this stupid lid off and this cowl and this thing. You can obviously still do this yourself if you want to do it at home by taking this cover off, and then it would be super, super easy. I think it's 3-ton mil nuts, and then this whole thing just kind of tips up, which is kind of odd because this has enough wire to tip up, yet this barely has enough wire to pull out. Funny how that works, but it is indeed doable. Whether or not you can get the kit at your dealership, you'll have to contact them. I had my own resources hook me up with a kit. They're very cheap. They're like $8 total. It does come with zip ties, the 2 wires, some crimps, heat shrink, fuses, and some really shitty aluminum crimp things if you want to use those. But the last step, all I have to do is put on my little stickers, and then we're good to go. There we go. Got the stickers on. Nothing beats a recall sticker. This right here, I know it kind of looks like our fuses are here, but they are not. This is that B card. So, A fuse multi-card, B card. So this is your B multi-fuse. That is what this is referencing, hence why there's 2 blanks. You would know immediately because stickers don't fit there at all. But this is where your new fuses are. This is how they know you did the recall. I mean, I guess you could stick the stickers on and hope, but this is your new blank ones because there's nothing there anymore. Which is kind of odd if you think about it, because you will still have fuses there, but your links just won't be hooked to nothing. So that wraps it up.